do something about it. Today's event is to raise awareness and share our thoughts and commemorate those who have lost their lives, especially the children. There are children of all ages, children of 2 months old, 3 months old, 5 months old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old, 17-year-old, children of all ages. They are just kids, just like your kids and my kids. They have lost their lives, they have no more future. Today's Vigil will be a commemoration for those, and in memory of those kids, we will have a few speakers who will share their thoughts. After that, we will have a moment of silence, and then we will have a rose petal tribute near the end. So, starting this event, I would invite our first speaker. His name is Professor Dr. Anton Dimnick. He's an ex-professor from Vigil University, and he's here to give us an educational background of Gaza and some events around that. Professor Anton Dimnick, or Tony, please go.
I'm ready for the rain. I'd like to thank you very much for coming today. I know that if I wasn't a speaker here today, and if I was just coming like you, I know I would have second thoughts and say, well, maybe I shouldn't have to go today. But I'm really appreciating that you have made the effort to come here. I'm the first speaker, and I haven't read what other people are going to be saying today, but I'm sure that there will be repeats of the messages that I'm sharing with you today, because we're here for the same reason. We're here to share in our humanity, and we can expect people to be saying similar things as we proceed. A little bit about how I got here. For some reason, perhaps it's watching a lot of news, watching Instagram, seeing pictures, seeing videos, hearing stories of what's happening in Gaza. It just affected me to the point that I had to do something. I know that I was going to sleep at night with Gaza in my mind. I was waking up in the morning with Gaza in my mind, and I just found that it had sort of taken over. I thought of what it must be like to be a father when you're sleeping or going to sleep and have bombs falling on you. I thought it just kept on coming back to me to the point where I said I had to do something. And what I did is I joined a group of people who meet every Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 just across from the Quinty Mall and demonstrate. I found that it gave me something that allowed me to say that I was doing something. And I think that's important right now. I'll talk a little bit about that later. Vigil here is to remember the innocents killed in Gaza. I was going to give you some numbers, some estimates of the dead, the injured, and I thought that kind of hides the humanity of the people. I'd like to talk about the humans who are killed by bombs, who were killed by tanks, by snipers, by famine. I want to talk about the humans who are buried under the rubble, the humans who are lying in mass graves, the humans dying from their injuries, and I would think their broken hearts. I've seen so many interviews of young children who I don't know how they can get up the next day knowing that their parents and their entire families have been killed. Now, we're remembering the dead today, but I think we should also look at how it happens that other humans can kill humans so callously. I think we have to look at the leaderships now, and I'm going to say leaderships on both the Palestinian side and the Israeli side. They don't usually have to live with the consequences of what they're doing. So it's easy for them to say, do this, and then sit back and either ignore or live with those consequences. The soldiers who are bombing and sniping and firing from tanks, they're just doing what they're asked to be done. They're taking orders. And we've heard that kind of argument before, and we're seeing it here now. And we're looking at young people. This I found the most frightening. I saw some videos of young people, settlers, who had stopped trucks going into Gaza with the needed aid and callously, I couldn't, it was like a little party. They were taking all the medicines and the foods off the trucks and destroying them. And a couple of miles away, there's people sick and starving and dying. And it just, how could somebody do that? How could somebody be brought up in such a way that you could do something like this? What does it take to make somebody do something like this? And then I thought of our young people who are occupying universities and they're doing things because they care. And I would say that's the right way to bring up kids. Now there's two beliefs that underlie all the things that I've been talking about in terms of soldiers and tanks and settler kids destroying goods. The first belief is that all Palestinians are guilty. I've seen reports where the soldiers are told there's only three types of Palestinians. There's terrorists, there's human shields, and there's people who are or will grow up to be terrorists. Everybody is guilty. And so what do you do when you can't tell the difference between a terrorist, human shield, and someone who will grow up to be a terrorist? You apply a philosophy that was back in biblical times. You kill them all and let God sort it out. And to a certain extent, I see that happening. Kill them all. Let God sort it out. So the first belief is that Palestinians are all guilty. The second belief is that Palestinians aren't human. And I've seen this again and again from people in the cabinet in the Israeli government. They say that Palestinians aren't human. They're human animals. They're not human. They're less than human. They are children of the dark. And you hear these phrases again and again by the leadership. So if you think that all Palestinians are guilty, or if you think that they're less than human, that gives you a right to kill whoever you wish. And I believe that is what's happening. And as a result, the graves in Gaza overflow with innocent children, infants, toddlers, kids, teens. The graves in Gaza overflow with innocent women, wives, mothers, sisters, grandmothers, aunts, friends, neighbors. The graves of Gaza overflow with innocent men, fathers, brothers, husbands, grandfathers, uncles, friends, neighbors. And every time we talk about the innocent people, we focus on the children and the women. Let's not forget about the innocent men. A whole generation is going to be missing, a whole generation of men. And these were major contributors, the doctors, the teachers in Gaza. We're here to say that our leaders should do everything they can to stop the killing. Cease fire now. We're here to say that something must be done to stop the killing. Now, whenever I think about this, I feel an anger rising in my heart. But I think it's a righteous anger. It's an anger when we see the killing of innocent people. It was wrong at the start of this episode in Gaza. It is wrong to continue killing people in Gaza. But on this day here, we have to contain our anger. This is a vigil, a peaceful demonstration for the innocent people of Gaza. Today, we mourn the dead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Anton. To adjust the mic significantly to accommodate the difference between our heights. Those were very deep, compassionate, and heart-touching words from Professor Anton Timnick. Next, I'm going to invite our very special guest. She has been a participant on our Belleville protests every Sunday, almost every Sunday, and she's here with us to present her views. She is a member of Jewish community, and she is upset and unhappy, just like every one of us, for the events that are happening and unfolding. I invite Laura Sky to share her thoughts.
Thank you. It's wonderful to see you all here. We had no idea who was actually coming, but it fills our hearts to have us all stand together. So many thanks. It's very moving. I have to say, I recognize faces, I recognize people who we've been together for many Sundays. And I want to say that as a Jewish woman, I have always felt welcome. There is not a breath of anti-Semitism that comes even ever close to our group or to my participation in that group. And one Sunday, somebody said to me very earnestly, "Oh, you're Jewish, you're very courageous for being here." No. It's my obligation to join together as a Jewish woman, trying to understand how to deal with this terror. So in preparation for our event today, I've been thinking and feeling and having nightmares. I had nightmares last night, but not nightmares because of you, not nightmares because of me, nightmares because of what Netanyahu, the government of the state of Israel is doing, the complicit governments all around us, that, and this suffering. I think we're all here because we relate horribly to the suffering, to the unacceptable suffering. So I'm a Jewish woman. I'm not an anti-Semitic Jewish woman. We have something in the Jewish community. Sometimes we're accused of being what's called self-loathing Jews. I reject that. I'm not anti-Semitic, but I am, like you, in despair. Over and over, looking at what the right-wing government of the State of Israel and other governments are supporting, over and over and over again, I say what you have heard before from Jewish people. Are we okay? Okay. Do we need to pause? Okay. Over and over again, I say, not in my name. What I really mean is not in our name, not in our name, not in our name. This, for me, it's not a slogan, it's a promise. I was born in Montreal in 1946, and I'm the daughter of a secular Jewish family. That means that we didn't practice a belief in God, but we had a very strong historical and cultural attachment to being Jewish. My grandparents were socialists, no surprise. They worked in factories, and we lived out our Jewish history many evenings at the dinner table. We lived our history. My family, my grandparents came to Canada at the turn of the century, but they were escaping prejudice, annihilation, pogroms. They fled to find a safe place. And that's the history that I was born and raised with. It's a very important history. And we did not lose anybody in the Holocaust. We didn't lose family members or friends, but being Jewish, that meant we lost everybody in the Holocaust. That's it. As Jewish people, we suffered, we lost lives, we lost souls, we lost our hope to the brutality and murder, not just of Jewish people, which was hideous enough, but to communists, to Roma, to gay and lesbian people. There was an annihilation. That was part of our family's memory and a part of our family's legacy. One of the major things that I learned at the family dinner table was that if you see injustice, if you know injustice, you cannot turn away. You cannot turn around, close your eyes. If you see injustice, we must act, and here we are. I've waited a long time to talk with you. I have so much feeling. Well, we lived another contradiction. There were many members of our, not so many, but some members of our family, some family friends who were labor Zionists. And I didn't understand, because I was too little, but their belief in the importance of the state of Israel as as an asylum for Jewish people who had suffered, who had lost, I didn't understand that there was a fundamental contradiction woven into that belief, and that is that they wanted to go to what became the State of Israel, but they were going to be occupying Palestinian land. It took me many, many years to begin to understand that contradiction, and I think it's myself. For me, it's been an unresolvable contradiction. Just as Tony has said, in my adult years, I became a teacher, I became a documentary filmmaker, I became an activist, and one of the historical realities that I always understand is how can people be so cruel to each other? How can we bomb children? How can we burn people alive? How can we chase people from their homes and then trap them? And in order to understand that, I tried to develop research understanding of what causes this kind of inhuman behavior. And then I watched it develop in the State of Israel. That the very contradiction that people who have been historically oppressed justify their oppression, the fact that they become the oppressors. And as Tony has said, they stop seeing people as human. They stop seeing in the Palestinian environment, everybody's an enemy. Everybody's an enemy. So that you just justify any atrocity when you see anybody as an enemy. And I think over and over again, on behalf of Jewish people who feel similarly, not in our name. But let me tell you this about what I learned, and I hope I can share my understanding with you, and you share your understanding with me. My Jewish family did not teach me to capture and destroy innocent people in their own homes, be they Israeli or Palestinian. I was not taught to trap displaced people in their occupied land and then to bomb them in the very places we entrapped them. My Jewish family did not teach me to manipulate public opinion to cover these crimes against humanity. That's the part that makes me also crazy, is watching the lies. Oh, guess what? We just discovered a cache of weapons in this hospital. Oh, they're neatly lined up for all the people who are going to take the pictures. We're going to destroy the hospital. It's insane making. It's crazy making. It's such an injury to all of us to have to listen to those lies, but it's no more an injury to the people of Palestine who are living those injuries. My family did not teach me that bombing hospitals, that bombing schools, that starving families was justifiable. You know, sometimes in the news you'll hear about this famine. It's not a famine, it's starvation. It's political, willful policy for starvation. My Jewish family did not teach me that there was anything resembling justice in that. But I was taught, like you, to stand strong against these crimes. Well, I'm 78 years old right now. I know it's hard to believe. But I am despairing. I see that the irony of history is not lost. The State of Israel that was established as an asylum for Jewish people, now that State of Israel perpetrates genocidal terror. It's genocide. It's genocide. Each day and night, I ask myself a question that maybe some of you are asking. Well, you're here. The question is, how can we defy this massacre? The Hamas attacks on October 7th were horrible. They were beyond words. Children were killed. Innocent people were killed. The horror cannot be justified, but tragically, those inhuman acts now sustain Israel's revenge. As a Jewish woman, as a person in this world, I reject that any possibility of revenge. We have no right to be a revenging people. We don't want to revenge each other. And I find that many, perhaps like some of you, and I don't have family in Gaza, I don't have family in the West Bank, but in fact, I am very deeply traumatized, but no more traumatized than many of you who stand with us today. My Jewish life refuses authoritarianism. My Jewish life refuses theocracy, whether it's a Jewish theocracy, a Muslim theocracy, or a fundamentalist Christian theocracy. My Jewish life embraces justice, embraces the lives of all faiths. And you know what? We're not alone. The world over, Jewish people are taking to the streets by the thousands to defy this occupation, to defy the slaughter. And yet, at the same time, you know that every attempt has been made by the State of Israel to accuse us and the people who support the people of Palestine as anti-Semitic. It's a cheap shot. There are people who do suffer from anti-Semitism. There are schools that have been attacked and synagogues that have been attacked, as there have been mosques attacked, as there have been Muslim schools attacked. But in fact, I'm here to tell you that my Jewishness does not include being cast aside as anti-Semitic. We are not anti-Semitic. In fact, we refuse. We stand for justice, we stand for peace, and mostly we stand for an end of this occupation and the genocide. We declare our rights to defy the massacres perpetrated by the State of Israel and to stand with our rights to be activists, to be advocates. And for those of us deeply troubled, far away from the killing grounds, we make this promise. If we witness injustice, we cannot be silent. We must act. That is our legacy, still and forever.
Thank you very much. That was Laura Sky, member for the Jewish community. Very compassionate and heart-touching words. Not in my name is what her message is. I thank you again for your support and coming here and sharing your thoughts. Next we have another special guest. Her name is Mariam. She's 10-year-old, and she's here to share her thoughts and what she's thinking about all this. Mariam, come here, please.
We know that children living in Gaza have no place to take shelter and everywhere is dangerous. We know that their homes are being destroyed, even places like schools and hospitals. Life is scary. Every time there's an airstrike, they are terrified. Every time they try to go inside, there's another airstrike. And they run back inside as fast as they can. We know that other children around the world lead quiet and calm lives, while other children dream of having video games. Children of Gaza have dreams that one day the fighting will end. We hope that one day they can open their books again, study, and go outside and play with friends. Our wish is that the war will end. All children should be able to live in peace. We hope that all the destroyed buildings and rubble will be cleared away, and something better and more beautiful will come in its place. We want Gaza to be a safe and beautiful place where they can live in peace.
Thank you very much, Mariam. Those were the words from a child who is seeing and observing things and cannot tolerate them. Next, I'm going to invite a member of our Islamic Society of Belmont. His name is Ali Mirza. He's here to share his thoughts from a Muslim perspective. Ali, please come here.
Assalamu alaikum. Dear brothers and sisters, peace be on all of you. I'm here just to say a small quote from the Quran, which is the holy book of Muslims, and a shared hadith, a saying of our Prophet ﷺ. Dr. Anton already told us what's going on. I don't want to repeat everything again and again. Just few words, and then I hope this war will end soon. Allah Ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, if anyone kills a person, it would be as he killed the whole humanity. And if anyone saved a life, it would be as if he saved the life of the whole humanity. So this is just shows how important a life of a human being. We are not talking about the life of a Muslim, Christian, a Jew, an atheist, or the people who worship idols. We are talking about the life of a human. There is no difference in the life. It doesn't matter what you believe. You are black, white, you are from India, Pakistan, or you are from any other country. We all same. And Islam was revealed to protect the rights of all human beings. Their rights to live, their lives to express their thoughts with freedom. And there's so much fear, not only in Gaza, only in Canada. I am not a public speaker. I am not a scholar. I am forced to come here because when I ask the scholars and the people who have the knowledge, they say we are too scared we might lose our job. I said, why? You're not going to say anything bad. Just we have to express our thoughts, and just we have to tell them we want the war to be stopped. I'm not here to criticize anybody. I am not here to say kill this one, kill that one. No. Our thing is just to stop the killing of the people. But we are so scared. Yet in Canada, there's no freedom. I calling non-stop the last 7 days. Somebody will come and talk. I said, no, I'm busy. No. I said, no, we have to stand. Otherwise, it will happen to me one day. And so we have to stand for the right. We have to stand for our freedom within the limits of law. And especially for the young kids who are here, never afraid that you stand for the right thing, but always respect the law. Our Prophet ﷺ said in one of his hadith, be aware of the supplication of the oppressed, for there is no veil between it and Allah. In other hadiths, the Prophet ﷺ, he told us, be aware of the supplication of the oppressed, for it ascends to Allah as if it were a flare. We all know, we all watch the news, we all hear because we know what's going on. We know there is no water, there is no shelter, and there is no food in Gaza. Today, I'm just going to make a small supplication for all the people suffering all over the world. Not only in Gaza, I feel very sad when I see the people in Ukraine. They are getting bombed for nothing. I feel very sad when I saw the news in Sudan lately. I very sad when I saw the news in Yemen and in Rohingya, and especially in Gaza. For me, they all same. When it comes to human life, I don't differentiate between one religion to other religion. We are all same. We are all humans. I like to make a dua and supplication for the people of Gaza and everywhere in the world where people are suffering, including Ukraine, Sudan, Rohingya. We ask Allah to ease the pain and suffering of innocent Muslims and all human beings everywhere, and know that Allah, the God, is the most wise, just, and has the power to do whatever He wills. Ya Allah, I pray for the oppressed people everywhere, the injustices I see among the people of the world towards one another, and at times find even in myself. rise from our failure to appreciate and recognize our fellowship. Allah, I pray to grant peace and security to those who are poor, sick, or disabled, and those who suffer the ravages of war and natural disasters of the earth. Grant us the wisdom to deal honestly and uprightly with people of all races and culture. And to realize the equality of all people in their rights of life, freedom, happiness in this world and in the next. Thanks for listening to me.
That was Brother Ali, Ali Mirza from the Islamic Center of Melbourne. Thank you very much for your kind words. Definitely, it's not about Muslim or Christian or Judaism, it's about humanity. If a human being is killed, all humans suffer, and we must raise our voice, and fear must not stop us. We have a right to speak up, we have a right to speak the truth, and we must not be afraid of it. With that, I'm going to invite another speaker. Her name is Lindsay. She will share a very beautiful poem that she has written for Gaza. Lindsay, please come forward.
Today I'd like to share with you a poem by Elian. He is a graduate student currently in Denmark and is from Gaza's Jabalaya camp. His poem focuses on an exchange he had with his nephew, Hisham, during a phone call to Gaza. The 10-year-old had become almost numb to the indiscriminate death around him. Instead, his fears fell elsewhere. Quote, Uncle Salah, I can accept death, but I can't bear to be trapped under rubble. What is it like? Is it painful? And so Saladin wrote this poem. A child should never die. A child should never die. I want to howl, to scream, to shake the universe. A child should never die. Holding myself back to settle the storms in my head. No, Hisham, that won't happen to you. Stay next to your sister. Ask her to tell you a story. Don't worry, my love. You're going to be safe, but I know it's a lie. Trying to balance what's coming from my mouth and what's inside my head. Balance my feelings and my patience, my strength and my internal collapse. Trying to balance in an imbalanced world. It's not what a 10-year-old should ask. A child should never die. A child should play, laugh, giggle, call mom to make breakfast, throw himself into grandfather's arms and live. A child should never die. Bombs hiss as they fall over Gaza. Flatten the city, wipe them out, starve them and kill them all. 1,000 deaths, 2,000 deaths, 5,000 deaths, 10,000 deaths. A child trembles on the hospital floor. A doctor says, another case, wounded child, no surviving family. Someone hold him, talk to him. The child still trembles, and I want to howl, to scream, to shake the universe. A child should never die. They say it's complicated. You should know the context. Read history before taking to the streets calling for ceasefire. Human shields, collateral damage. This is war, and war is ugly. What do you expect? But a child should never die. And what of context? When a child talks about death, there is no context. When a child dies from cold, there is no context. When a baby is starved, there is no context. There is a point where context stops. Drowning in my thoughts, his voice interrupted me again. Uncle, I want to tell you something. Today we went out to play. The F-16s made their noise as usual, but we were not afraid. We waved our hands and kept singing and playing. A child should live. A child should grow up. A child should sing, should dance, should sleep peacefully at night. Never, never. A child should never die. And now I'd like to share one more poem. It's by Nadreen Radaja. She's a 21-year-old dentistry student who recently escaped Gaza. She's in Egypt now, and she's got a GoFundMe account and is trying to get her family out. And during a recent There, on the other side, time changes, hours pass, and it gets darker. The sky takes off its dim dress, then the morning arrives. But here, where I live and breathe, life wears its black dress constantly to mourn the labor of my land, which took a long time. Here, the hanging clock in my room is broken. Not only this one, everyone's clock is broken here. My mother keeps saying everyone is waiting for the elixir. We have had it with grief and agony. In this holy land, we sleep and wake up on the sound of bombing and shooting. So the first light of day rises in the evening, lighting up the sky with the blood of martyrs. Here, death sleeps not far from us. We all walk towards freedom, towards hope. We walk on the shattered glass of our broken windows. We walk on stones that once were a house, carrying stories and secrets. We walk with the screams of children and the groans of mother pulsating over and over in our ears. And if the death does not suffocate me, the smoke will, carrying memories, screams, the remains of families from years ago, smoke that announces the burial of a new civil record into a mutilated grave. I now fear counting. I fear numbers will turn my head. I count stars only to realize they are warplanes delivering souls to their final abode. When my mother saw a bright light, she told me tenderly what a dazzling star it was, until the light departed, stealing more voices from the streets.
Thank you very much. That was amazing. And very thoughtful remarks included. Next, we're coming to the close of our event today, and next I will invite Professor Anton again for a moment of silence and closing remarks. We will have a rose petal little tribute just near the end, and then we'll have a question answer. But right now, I invite Professor Anton once more. Please come.
We're now going to have 2 minutes of silence. So I'd ask you to please turn off your phones. Just a second there. Okay. 2 minutes. 2 minutes of silence is a long time. I ask you to respect the silence, and if there is a disturbance, please continue to focus on your thoughts. So now please bow your heads and reflect on the people of Gaza, the innocent children, women, and men that have been killed. We'll begin now. Okay. Thank you very much for that. That was really a good moment. I'd like to close with a couple of final words here. I'd like to talk a little bit about two beliefs. The first belief is that we have to, let me just get this notes here. The two things I'd like to talk about. The first one is that we woke up this morning to another horrific story from Gaza. After days and weeks and months of seeing the horrific images from Gaza and hearing the horrific stories, we can start to feel numb. And Laura mentioned that you can start to feel numb when you hear these stories and see these pictures again and again. It's human nature to try to shut off that which horrifies us. We have to fight that numbness and continue to feel the pain and use that pain to motivate us. Secondly, we have to recognize that we do have a power to change how Canada deals with Palestine and Israel. Sometimes I hear people say, there's nothing we can do, we have no power. People have power. They lose it when they think they have none. I'm going to repeat that. We have power, we lose it when we think we have none. One way to fight the numbness and exercise your power is to join Shahid and the rest of us who come to the Vigil regularly on Sundays from 1:30 to 3:30 across the street from the Quinte Mall. Now, you don't have to come at 1:30 and stay till 3:30. You can come later, you can leave earlier, but it's important that you come. It'll help you overcome the numbness and help you exercise your power. Thank you very much.
Thanks again, Professor Anton Dimrick. Very wise and kind words and advice. You have the power, and if you do not know you have the power, you will lose it. We have the power of our words, we have the power of our voice, we have the power of our money. That's one thing that I also want to remind you. Use all these three powers for the betterment of the humanity, and you will feel that you have done something good. Again, reminder, as Professor Dimrick has mentioned, we have every Sunday, 1:30 to 3:30, we have a demonstration at Bell Boulevard across from Quinte Mall. Most of us are already familiar. Those of you who are not, please try to come and join us. It will help raise awareness and raise your voice. Next, I'm going to invite all of you into a small tribute that we're going to give to the children of Gaza. As you may or may not know, there are about 15,000. It's 15,000, not 1,500, not 15, 15,000. It's just 15 too many. It's just one too many. 15,000 is a huge number. There are coffins that are laid around in this hall in 15,000. I don't even know, Professor probably knows, he's more academic. It will fill up the whole thing. There are 15,000 children who are dead at this moment, not to speak of about 40,000 total people who have died. So in memory of those 15,000 children, we'll have a small tribute. I'm going to pick one child. His name was Muhammad Tamimi. He was 2 years old. He was one of 15,000. We will have a symbolic coffin on which we will drop a rose petal. The rose petal will be over here on the side, right side of mine, left side of mine, right side of yours. We'll drop it into his symbolic resting place, and then we will walk towards my right side. And everybody is welcome to participate in this activity.